What's going on, everyone? Today, Corey has a customer install. He just got done installing this Prinsu roof rack. This is the half-length roof rack. This is the 3/4 length roof rack. I stand corrected. But right here on the table, Corey has the Prinsu ladder. We're gonna be installing this on the back of this customer's 4Runner. We're gonna show you how to get it installed and then maybe do a little comparison with our C4 ladder that we have on our truck.
Good job.
First try, killed it.
So quick rundown of the ladder. We have all the components here on the table. We have our two main side pieces for the structure of the ladder, and then we have our rungs here. We have a total of 4 ladder rungs, and then we have our other pieces that make up the ladder. This is going to be up on top. This is also going to be up on top. These are going to bolt together like this with some carriage bolts. This piece here comes pre-installed with some 3M tape. The older model, you had to put the tape on yourself, but this comes pre-assembled, ready to go. You just have to peel it off and stick it on, which is nice. And then we have all of our hardware here. We have some pieces of rubber. We're gonna be putting those on the pieces that make contact to the rear hatch of the 4Runner so you can protect the paint. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get this installed. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do when installing this ladder is get the top plate laid out where it needs to be. So from the side of the spoiler here, I'm measuring 4 inches to the edge of this top plate. I'm gonna go ahead and mark with some tape on this side and on this side so I know exactly where we want this, and then we can move on to the next step. So we're just starting with one of our side pieces and one of our rungs here. We're gonna get one of these rungs in place to hold the 2 sides together. These steps could probably be a little slippery when wet, so I would suggest maybe adding a little bit of grip tape to the top. That would definitely go a long way. So we're gonna take these carriage bolts here, we're gonna drop these in from the front, and then we'll take a washer and a nut and get that snug down. So these nuts are gonna be an 11mm. Let's go ahead and snug that up so it's not moving all over the place. We're gonna go ahead and just put all these on. I don't see any reason why we couldn't, so I have these laid out here. There is multiple locations. You can just put them however you think fits best. So we're gonna go ahead and just get all of these snugged in place. So with the 4 rungs in place, we're gonna go ahead now and attach the top plate to the ladder. So we have our 4 bolts here, washers and nuts. We'll go ahead and get those installed. Get our holes lined up, slip those through, washer and nut on the inside. So on Prinsu's old revision of the ladder, there was only 2 holes up here and 2 holes down here. On the new one, there's 4 holes up here and 4 holes down here. And it looks like they only gave us enough hardware to put 2 bolts on either end. So we're just going to get this together, put 2 bolts on the top and 2 bolts on the bottom. And then we'll have to reach out to Prinsu to get some extra hardware. So we got a 1/2 inch socket and a 3/16 Allen wrench. We're just gonna go ahead and get these snugged up. So we got the ladder pretty much pre-assembled over there on the table. Now we can go and get this stuck to the roof. I cleaned this with alcohol, so you know it's gonna stick good. So let's go ahead and get the backing peeled off here for this tape. There is a little bit of extra tape on here that doesn't make contact with the body. So pretty much this section here. So if you wanna just cut that off, you can. But we'll go ahead and hook that in place, line it up, and we'll get that stuck down. When you install this, remember to put these carriage bolts through first. You can get them to fit in afterwards, it's just a bit tight. One more thing before getting this up in place, we have some rubber here with double-sided tape. There's gonna be 2 really small pieces. Those are gonna go on the very end here of that top plate that we installed. So we'll go ahead and get both of those installed. just like that. And then this longer piece here, that's going to be for the bottom piece, and that's going to get tucked down in here and protect the very bottom edge of the hatch. Since this piece of rubber is going to be going in a tight 90-degree area, we're going to go ahead and score the back of it. I have this straight edge here pretty much in the middle, so we'll go ahead and score this, and that'll help it bend easier around that 90-degree corner. So we'll go ahead now and try to tuck that corner in there as deep as we can get it. There was a bit extra on the top here. I trimmed that, and then there was a bit extra around this, so I trimmed that as well. So with this thing assembled now, we can go ahead and get it up into position. We'll get the slots lined up with those carriage bolts. Get a washer on there and a nut, and we'll get this just started. So with the top in place, we're going to take the bottom and we're going to get this slipped in and tight up against the bottom of the rear hatch. We'll just put 2 bolts in here for now to get this locked in place. Also, as you can see, I put some of the foam that came with the ladder, taped it onto the window and just draped it down, so that way when you're getting all this stuff into position, you don't have the ladder touching the hatch. We'll go ahead and get these snugged up. When you go and tighten this, you want to make sure to have this pushed up towards the bottom of the trunk as much as possible. So with the bottom piece now attached to the main ladder, you want to just take a step back and look at it and make sure that the ladder is nice and straight up and down. Once you have it in a spot where you like it, we're going to go ahead and tighten up the bottom bolts and the top bolts here, and then we can open up the back and we can make our marks here on the bottom where we need to drill our holes. So I put a level on here just to help me get this nice and straight. I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape right on the edge, so in case it moves, I know where I want to have it. And then we need to make sure we push this up as much as possible before we make our marks for our holes. We're going to have to go ahead and pull this out. You can just grab it from the top, it'll pop right out. And we'll have to either take this plate back off, or we can just move it to the one side and drill our hole, move it to the other side and drill that hole. So I have that slid off to the side, and I have an 1/8 inch drill bit. We're going to start with that to get a pilot hole. So we'll go ahead and drill both of these out. And we're going to finish this off with a 3/8 drill bit. Just going to go ahead and hit these holes with some white paint. Then we have this backing plate here that's going to get put on the inside, and we'll get those holes lined up and get our threads started. All right, we got both of those started. We'll go ahead and just get these snug. All right, so we have those tightened up, and we're just going to make sure everything looks good. If everything looks how you want it, we're just going to go ahead now and just tighten everything down on the ladder. And like I said earlier, it would probably be a good idea to just put some grip tape on here, because if you step on this when it's wet, there's a good chance you're probably going to slip off, and that's not going to feel too good. So let's go ahead and get all this tightened up and finished. One last thing, Prinsu supplies these little caps, so wherever you don't put your ladder rungs, there's extra holes, so we can go ahead and close those up just to make it look more finished. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up the install on this Prinsu ladder for the 5th Gen 4Runner. If you guys wanna pick one of these up or a roof rack from Prinsu, you can head over to yodaexpedition.com. I'll put our link down in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.